red this split, or at least this week. We're expecting a couple of those priority picks. Syndra taken away, don't want that one to get in the hands of Nukeduck. So Zach still up, Xayah still up. In actual fact, Rakan got banned in phase 2. Which is a little bit of a surprise to us.
Yeah, I think we were talking about how it might be that secondary engage in the bottom lane where you don't want a champion that can protect an AD carry very well. And Vitality say, okay, we don't care about the meta, just get rid of what the Unicorns like to play here. And that has worked well for some teams. Braum was the champion Hylissang played. But remember, Malzahar was banned out in the last game. He may just default over towards that. The Lulu is there as well. There's a Rakan ban, because Unicorns don't want to have to pick Rakan themselves and don't want Vitality to get it if they first pick Xayah.
And we've already seen Xayah has in fact lost. If Xayah gets locked in here, Samux just goes Caitlyn, is very comfortable.
Yeah. And that's why I think Elise or Zac may be the priority here. Maybe not the Zac, but Vitality may not want to put themselves in a lane that could be tough. I say that. They're going to play into the Caitlyn.
Now, Xerxe has played Zac before the rework. Yes! Oh, yes! Yes!
It's in.
I am so excited to cast Zac. The Unicorns of Love have gigantic smiles on their faces. And yes, just to go back to that, Xerxe has already played it twice this year. He won one game, he lost one game. It's even better than when he did it last time.
I think Unicorns now will last pick Caitlyn in this rotation, or it'll be banned away, but Vitality now need to put pressure on, pick at least one solo lane here with something very, very solid that can actually compete. You compare a lot of supports with Xayah, but if you don't force Unicorns into a tough situation on their solo laners, they will take full control of this draft. And Vitality pick up Graves, who can farm alongside Zac, but has a completely different presence in teamfight. We'll get into it during the game, but Zac has insane potential in teamfights.
Yeah, to go back to that Graves pick very briefly, 5 games played for Djoko. Only got himself 1 win on the champion. Of course, the team did place 4th in the spring split, so a number of reasons for that. Tahm Kench and Caitlyn, the last 2. Tahm was also a champion that got banned out in phase 2, but it was by Vitality last time around. They've secured it for the bottom lane.
I feel like they missed a trick here, although it's not a champion that Cabo necessarily plays. Galio would have been a pick instead of the Tahm Kench to force the Unicorns of Love to give something up in favor of picking this Caitlyn, because with Shen already banned, there's only a couple of matchups that could do well into it. I would expect it to be banned out by Vitality here, because Chachi surely is going to pick Galio if available, and then they counter pick mid lane. There's a lot of options still there.
Yeah, I mean, with the Fiora banned away, that's one of the champions that has been run into it a number of times.
There goes Rumble.
Rumble's taken out top lane. They're very, very heavy focus. Solo laners are still up and available for both teams, and we need to see what they prioritize. Jarvan taken away.
So Gragas Galio is likely to be our top lane at this point. Looking at what is left available, I would anticipate the Galio is the way better pick. Like Galio, Zac, with a Caitlyn, this is near unkillable if this composition even remotely gets ahead.
What does Cabo want to run into Galio now? You mentioned the Gragas. We know he has played carries in the past. Admittedly, a lot of them are banned out that are good into Galio. There's a few seconds left to decide. Nukeduck's gone Orianna.
There's not many matchups left that are available outside of carries. We've heard whispers of Yasuo in the top lane, but specifically into Galio, I'm not too sure. Bit of a teasing on Nukeduck there. I was expecting the Gragas to be the pick we were talking about. It's kind of a neutral lane where Gragas will always have presence when it comes to starting fights, but Galio sure as hell will make his presence known at ending fights, as he's unkillable in the grand entrance just kind of crashes to the ground.
Now, Stress, with the last lock-in of LeBlanc, I am reminded of probably my second favorite team from the mid-season invitational.
Okay.
The Gigabyte Marines.
Okay.
And the reason I love them, the Zac LeBlanc engage. Get the Mimic down from the ultimate, send her forward, and let Galio jump onto a backline. Yes! Yeah. Galio jumping onto the LeBlanc clone. Let's see if the Unicorns can pull it off. If there's a team that can, it's going to be them.
But you've got a Zac that can do exactly the same thing as well. So there is so much potential for the Unicorns of Love to get fights started. Vitality maybe with a little bit more of a consistent lineup from what we've seen in patches gone by. The Gragas should do fine. Orianna will basically always do okay. It's up to Steelback now on this side to maybe do a little bit more to get Nukeduck later on into the game.
Right, Tashipi just forgetting his Death Note or his notebook on stage. as he grabs that one to run off. The team comps are on your screens. I see gigantic team fights when I look at both of these team compositions. And I see AD carries that want to be protected. The biggest flavor difference gonna be in those mid laners where Exile's gonna be looking to flank, and I feel Nukeduck's gonna be looking to stay central with the team.
Big difference from what Vitality were looking to do last game. If they have the same impact in the early game, maybe that's the platform that they can build to take down the Unicorns here in game 2.
Oh, let's see if they can. Vitality need a win here to force the decider. We're loading up onto the Rift with Zach in the jungle for your spring split rookie. Nukeduck and Exileh going toe-to-toe. Orianna versus LeBlanc. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get on the Rift for game 2.
Good save. So, Zach, why is Zach so strong? Well, Zach can still do everything he used to do, annoyingly entering mid lane through all these weird different paths that no other jungler can, but he now has better clear, he has a better teamfight presence in his ult. You see, he just spreads out a little bit like a trampoline and just pulls everybody wherever you want them to go. So this guy is a team-fighting machine. Oh, Cabo. Oh, Cabo. Oh, you've walked right into the trap.
This is terrifying. Cabo's going to place the ward down. The support is out. He's already flashed. Exileh started E, though. That is important to note. Cabo's going to make his way through the jungle, taking Unicorns on a bit of a walk. Okay, so no summoner spell in the top lane. And Exileh started with those chains. Not terrible on LeBlanc. We've seen that a couple times. And of course, he's going to be able to back away. It looks like Nukeduck also got a ward, I expect. Yeah. Got one CS2's name. Didn't see where it was, though.
Yeah, I mean, we look at the last game. Nukeduck's flash being down didn't hinder Vitality too much. There was a gank that went that way. But now Unicorns have themselves the Zach jungle, which can enter lane from a long distance. Obviously not that early on. You require a lot of levels in the elastic slingshot to have the big impact, the jumps that come from 2 screens away, but still have that impact of getting into lane early.
Oh, all of a sudden, Vitality, they fancy their shells a shot. Body slam onto Vizicsacsi. Both top laners missing flash. Vizicsacsi not going to get those winds of war down to help out Xerxe in the jungle, and Djoko playing very, very forward.
Yeah, importantly, while Zach is good at clearing Raptors on his own in solo queue, it's still possible to do it in competitive, but if you get a little bit of help from the likes of a Galio, it speeds up your clear astronomically. However, Chachi now has to sacrifice some of his laning presence. Didn't opt to recall and TP, but just goes back into lane, uses 1 health potion, and sits in the top side.
All right, Hylissang playing into Steelback. The wave is pushing up Steelback, and Vander not going to get the advantageous position, likely going to miss out on level 2 here in the race, and instantly backing away the moment Hilly and Samux do it. That's a flash for flash. Hylissang sending a message.
Hylissang has been a Thresh player for a very long time, and I'm excited to see him back on this champion. You can see what Unicorns were doing there. Zoning away the Xayah because her auto attacks cut through the minion wave and actually push very effectively. And it's difficult to race the Xayah to level 2 if you don't zone her away. So Unicorns very aggressive in the bottom lane, pushing back, Steelback, and making sure they could secure themselves level 2 and the flash from the AD carry.
Yeah, very nicely done indeed. On your mini-map, you can see that Djoko's making his way up into the top lane. He was involved in that first blood in game number 1 of the series. Looking to do this again, going underneath the tower, body slam, end of the line. Graphics team, I love you. Team first blood participation for Djoko. That is now 20 out of 21. And his jungle proximity, 50%, spends a lot of time with his laners. That's why he helps out with first blood so often.
Yeah, easily converts that flash being down into the kill. And second game in a row that you're looking at it, Vitality getting their jungler very close to some of their lanes, but it works out very well here. And this is the Vitality we saw in game 1 that we were saying, hey, maybe this is what they needed. They've got a lineup that is contending in the early game. No longer are they the Vitality that did nothing the entire game.
Yeah, indeed. And Nukeduck's going to take a lot of damage from that Shatter Orb from Exileh, but you know, Djoko, you go back to his ability to help with first blood, secure first blood, work with a team for first blood. His problem was never the early game. His problem was always once you get to the mid game.
Right.
But that's also a team problem, right? I'm not pinning this on him. Vitality as a squad all throughout spring, they didn't really do a lot. They just kind of lost slowly. They weren't bad enough to get crushed, but they didn't seem to be good enough to grow, and that's what Yamato's going to need to change this split.
Not only Yamato, but Vander as well. He has a lot of experience helping to shot call on H2K. He was one of the big voices that we heard being talked about. But we had the question ourselves of, can you teach older players with perhaps bad habits on where to be on the map? Can you actually improve that from a coaching stance? And so far in the early game for Vitality, it seems to be working out, but they ran into a wall quite quickly in game one when Unicorns actually had an answer to that push.
And it was a couple of key mistakes between Vander and Steelback. Admittedly, some of them communication, some of them mechanical and positioning. Regardless, Unicorns have loved once again. They give up first blood to Vitality. Steelback gonna chase forward. It's a lot of damage down with that deadly plumage and those double daggers.
But that's why I like Caitlyn into Xayah. There's almost no kill pressure, but kill pressure mid lane there is for now, as Djoko and Nukeduck looking for Exile.
Yeah, Exile's gonna use the distortion to safety, luckily for him. Wait to clear out that wave under the tower, and Death Sentence, that connects onto Vander. Vander's the man with the flash, remember, and it's the Tahm Kench. So you kind of have to focus him, force that grey health down.
Yeah, you can see just how far Unicorns are sitting back. Samux just lays out an auto attack once or twice, never really being touched until the jungler comes bot lane.
Well, very good positioning from Hilly. Connects with a Death Sentence as well. There's a teleport coming down from Chachi. Hylissang follows the Death Sentence, manages to get the flay. Exile instantly exhausted and goes backwards. Vander uses the grey health and stays alive a few seconds longer. And he manages to walk away, but Unicorns with a 4-man stack, they've got the tower in sight.
Utilizing that TP from mid lane, we all thought it was Chachi for a moment, but then you realize it's a LeBlanc, and instantly the response comes from the exhaust. No exhaust this time.
Oh, Exile's got so much damage. Shatter Orb gets the kill. Unicorns on the board.
Unicorns maintain the presence with 4 people in the bot lane. It wasn't necessarily the Zac getting into the lane. It was utilizing just the sheer numbers advantage for the Unicorns to push that down. Vitality thought perhaps they could at least clear the wave behind the tower. Hook lands on Steelback, no flash, remember.
He gets pulled backwards onto a trap. Vander in the right spot at the right time. Forced to pop that E. Now Samux running for his life. Nukeduck's got Shockwave, Flash, Cleanse, everything available. Nukeduck needs to nuke Hilly. Sends out the Shockwave. It's flashed. And Unicorns survive.
Really tricky timing from the Unicorns. Hylissang's flash was available 1 second before that play actually came through. They were trying to buy as much additional space as they could on the Thresh Lantern. So Hylissang flashes, Lantern comes through, Samux gets out alive, dodges the gauntlet of the Shockwave, which was a nice attempt out of Nukeduck. That could very well have spelled the end of the Unicorn's AD carry. But now Nukeduck back in lane, has to face up against Exile.
Look at this! Exile's looking for the solo. He's may be able to get it. Flash Cleanse from Nukeduck. Summoner spells down after Nukeduck did so much work in the bottom lane. Exile is the guy we started talking about in the previous game, just showing up once more.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, everybody has put him behind Perkz and Febiven. At this point, in my eyes, second best mid laner is not too far out of reach for the title for him. Xerxe now trading. Oh, smashing to the blue buff.
Does indeed. Stretching strike onto Djoko. You see the new rework catching the blue sentinel as well. Slamming the sentinel into Djoko. We've not seen Zac at all, despite me literally jumping for joy when he got locked in. But we will see more of him. Let's Bounce is available. Elastic Slingshot, that E starting to scale up. Look at it being charged. Remember, it's one of my favorite spell names. I like to yell. Stretching strike, minion, Death Sentence. Hilly sends his regards.
Unicorns able to utilize the Zac. Doesn't even matter that Zac landed in amongst the minions and didn't catch a champion. Just drags them together. Hulk Hogan style, smashes the heads and gets the first kill on that one. Nukeduck down in the mid lane on Orianna. Now his blue buff's in trouble. We're still a minute before Rift Herald. This would be the opening where they could go over towards Rift Herald and look to crack that tower behind the Orianna.
Djoko tried to steal the collateral, with collateral damage. Unable to do so. And Unicorns, they've just got themselves a bunch of kills. It's still a fairly close game, gold-wise. Stress, before we carry on talking about the game, quick reminder to everybody watching, the new Saturday and Sunday showtimes for EU LCS is 5 p.m. Central European Summertime. It is no longer 4 p.m. like it was in the spring split. So tomorrow, you can check out H2K Fnatic, NIP, and Mysterious Monkeys all taking to the Rift.
Some new teams taking to the Rift tomorrow, and some new champions in this game that I want to talk about. Steelback on this Xayah. The first of our AD carries taking Xayah to actually max E, which is quote-unquote the more conventional way that people are doing in solo queue. Now, what maxing E does, or at least putting a few extra points, reduces the cooldown of your ability to stun champions in skirmishes, and it gets down to 8 seconds at the highest rank before cooldown reduction. So if you can get a couple of stuns in team fights, you can catch people where they're really not expecting those feathers to be, and that's why Steelback is perhaps looking for this. We'll watch out for that as the first few fights of the game actually involve Xayah.
Yeah, and of course Steelback gonna be under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, lots.
Zach, Galio, LeBlanc.
He's gonna wish he had a lot of stuns.
Oh yes, a champion with no innate escapes or mobility spells. Yes, that ultimate, the Feather Storm will, you know, at least delay the inevitable. But you land back down. Anywhere, Steelback needs to get devoured. Stepping forward, Hylissang throws down the Lantern. Samux takes a ride to farmland, unable to set anything else up, and Djoko now coming around. Okay, we passed 10 minutes. It's still very close, very even. Tower damage, pretty actual even for top and bottom lane, but it's in favor of UOL. They're shoving into Vitality over and over.
Casting our mind back to one of the last points of engagement, though, was Vitality pushing in the bottom lane, and out comes the TP. Well, look at what is nearly available for Exileh. A couple of seconds away, there are wards in that bush, so if Vitality stray too far forward, they actually are just putting a pink ward down to clear that ward out. So doing their due diligence to deny Exileh's ability to get down there, but that could be another opening for the Unicorns.
Yeah, it really can. Vizicsacsi, if the fight breaks out anywhere in the jungle, going to be able to play forward. Hylissang connects with a death sentence. Pulls Vander all the way backwards, and this looks just very, very easy. Ace in the hole going to get body blocked by Steelback as he's like, I got you, bro. Xerxe farming up a storm. Looking at the minimap, by the way, Chachi and Xerxe were setting up to flank Steelback. Remember, his flash was lost earlier in the 1v1. That would have been a very, very easy kill if it had landed.
As Xerxe building, obviously, towards the tank items on Zach, a lot of the tank items now that were introduced just have a lot of synergy. Gargoyle Stoneplate on this guy is ridiculous. You can end up having like 5-6k health. TP just came through from Cabochard. Exileh caught him with the first chain.
It looked like he was trying to set up something onto Samux and Hilly. Cabo's going to be a little disappointed with how that worked out. Gets the little bonk onto Exileh's head, and Exileh easily able to use that plant to escape.
Disappointing set of TP advantage usage for Vitality. They had the TP up when Chachi didn't have his and couldn't get anything to work for them. They are going to push onto the bottom tower. They don't quite get Xerxe as he was recalling out.
So close. Xerxe could have at least bought a little bit of time with his ultimate ability. Anybody that listens to me cast Kled, you know how much I love Bear Trap on a rope. Let's Bounce is probably a close second for one of the most fun names. Exileh gets chunked down by Nukeduck. Vander's going to deliver Nukeduck to help out defend this lane. But yeah, 12.5 minutes in. Tower First Blood was picked up by UOL, was at least onset by Vitality, and it's just Unicorns with a small advantage at the moment.
Here's Zach from, oh, here we go, where's the Let's Bounce?
Stretching strike connects 1 and 2. Vander goes backwards, delivered by the Let's Bounce. Samux takes a shockwave to the face, but there's not enough damage yet. Ace in the hole, channels blocked. All of a sudden, Vander, he's eating everybody's ace in the hole. Cabochard unable to kill Exileh. But Exileh losing the 1v1, we didn't quite see how that played out.
Yeah, two not quite successful engages. One from the Unicorns in mid lane. They bounce onto Vander. Couldn't quite get the kill, who's kind of tanky already, but it's still quite early on. Interesting to see the Unicorns actually looking for these set plays where they're coming in from the two angles with the Zac, with the Thresh. I want to see more of this from them. But Cabochard having a much better game here on the Gragas than the Kled we saw in game number 1.
Yes, Vizicsacsi, his Galio is still scaling up. He's got Abyssal Scepter as his first item. Obviously changed recently, but I also want to bring our attention to the AD carries again. Samux, of course, using those ace in the holes, unable to find his target. But Samux took off after 15 minutes in the previous game. He was protected, the team comp was built around him. Steelback, unfortunately, didn't get a lot of chance as the game fell apart around him, but you can see they're at 15 CS, pretty close. just the damage per minute as the game rolls out.
And they were utilized in two different ways. Steelback was out on the side lane, gathering a lot of farm, whereas Samux was pushing mid, trying to deny a lot of that presence from the Rift Herald. But this time, it's Samux in mid once again, where is Steelback? Again, side lane. So it is similar to game number one, as Unicorns want to push him for mid tower.
They are indeed. There's no support yet. Djoko's going to come in from behind. Teleport's not available for Cabo. Hilly's going to take an auto to the face. Xerxe.
Or this is two if they go on this.
Decides not to pull the trigger yet. Let's bounce. Just about to become available.
One thing I want to talk about as we head towards a fight, I don't think I'm going to have time, it's just that Essence Reaver, when built, will have better late game damage than the Blade build that we've seen. But they're against the Caitlyn. Here comes the fight.
Charge it up! He looks for the stretching strike, but misses! That's a gobbledygook as Vander runs with Nukeduck in his belly, spits him out to safety, and the big fight's yet to break out stress.
Which of his abilities is a gobbledygook? Just for clarity's sense, I'm just trying to check.
You see, I went with Goop because there was a Zac in the middle as well.
See, that's what confused me for a second there. I'm just looking for clarity.
Okay, I'll clean it up. I'll clean it up, all right? Devour into Nukeduck saved his life. I'm so sad that stretching strike missed. Unicorn still waiting for that explosive fight as they maintain the small lead. But the game is not out of Vitality's hands yet. We didn't see the same sort of miscommunications in plays. Look at the mini-map. That's a flash body slam. Samux running away. Lantern from Hilly's in a good spot. Xerxe catches Cabo and escapes.
Okay, praise on Xerxe. Blocks the body slam flash, then realizes you can't crowd control me while I channel Let's Bounce, so I'm getting away from this. Samux is safe. That was pretty nicely done out from Xerxe.
Reworked Zac is officially the goofiest looking champion on the Rift.
You saw
he has overtaken Ivern. No, because you see, Pugmore's just a bit silly. He's not goofy or cute or weird. Looking at like Zac's Q and Zac's R, it's just so weird.
The voice is great though. When he gets really tiny and he runs like this. Have you ever played against a Zac that you just can't kill, but he's running around laughing at you forever?
I have, many times. It's lost me a lot of LP stress.
No, I think that was because you were trying to learn Xayah for a while.
Yeah, it didn't go well.
You needed to find Rakan. That was the problem.
Couldn't find my Rakan in solo queue. I know it is. I tried to go for it, didn't work out. But the Unicorns of Vitality, the problem is, every time a fight breaks out, there's enough disengage in like life-saving tools between, you know, Vander's Devour, come on, Protect from Nukeduck, Xerxe on his Zac, despite having a 50 CS advantage over at Djoko. I need to have a look at exactly how much gold that equates to. But as it stands, just doing a good job of being with his team, and I think Unicorn's pretty happy to continue scaling stress.
It's an underwhelming 200 gold between the two. It looks impressive, as you said. But Djoko's been doing a decent job himself, as at least he got that kill, so it makes up some of the difference between the two. It's been a bit of a slower game than the first one, perhaps. Unicorns, of course, with a very low game time at the end of it. One Baron buff pretty much ended the game for them.
Yeah, really well played. Unicorns just flew ahead. Vizicsacsi might need to fly. It's the shield of Durant. Justice Punch is flashed away from, and he rides the lantern to safety.
We haven't yet seen the play you were talking about, the Mimic LeBlanc or the Zac going in before the Galio ult. Well, they've got to be careful around mid lane. This is where Zac and Galio love to fight.
They do indeed. Elastic Slingshot being charged up on the right-hand side. Vizicsacsi doesn't fire. The flash taunt. There goes Let's Bounce, and Xerxe needs to get out to safety. Unicorns, they get the tower. They get a 2,000 gold lead. But once again, a sub-optimal engage. Flashes up for Xerxe. Cabo may need to look for him.
That didn't quite hit the mark. Exileh's on a ward, although, it's a ward off to the side. The control ward for himself. Vitality are doing a good job of pushing Unicorns away from the Rift Herald here off that exchange in mid lane. They know that with the Let's Bounce down, the engage is a lot less impactful than potentially could be out of Xerxe.
Yeah, and slight misspeak from me earlier. I said Xerxe, I meant Samux. Regardless, a minute to go before Rift Herald passes back into the ether, and Vitality are grouping up all the way around. No support yet.
Yep.
Hylissang's going to make his way up. May just spot it going down. Right, do not think it's worth engaging 1v5. Hylissang says, Nope, you are quite wrong. Catches Vander with a death sentence, shield of Durand. Flashing
Here comes
Xerxe!
Xerxe!
Here comes Xerxe! Shockwave catches on the back end. Xerxe's looking for a target. Let's bounce still on cooldown. Doesn't matter. Exileh's got the kill. Samux gets another. The play for days from Hylissang. A heroic entrance to close the door on Vitality. That's the third of the fight before Hylissang goes down. Cabochard sends his regards with the explosive cast before he's forced to burp and run away. Gets caught by the stretching strike, and Steelback running low on mana. His Essence Reaver not keeping him topped up.
Exile's
Another
back.
taunt comes down. Exile's looking for the kill. Steelback continues to chase forward, and Unicorns 1 for 3 fights.
Yeah, 1 for 3. It looked like it should have been more from the Unicorns, but until Exileh was back in the fight, there was no real way of them dealing out enough damage. They have to be careful of the counter engage here. Pings in the top lane from Cabochard.
They don't know he's there, and Exileh escapes.
But here comes Cabochard. This is the real danger.
Xerxe is going to be forced to jump away. No flash for Vizicsacsi. Shield of Durand will buy a few seconds of time as a Justice Punch catches the Tahm Kench in the gut. Vizicsacsi goes down, and Vitality, they at least get themselves a backup kill, and it goes to Nukeduck.
Now, summon the Rift Herald in the top lane. It's the best play Vitality can make at this point because Samux had shoved mid out already. That's actually what has happened during the live engage, and Unicorns are looking to fight to actually disengage. It's in the live picture. Unicorns are fighting Vitality.
We've already jumped back out. The Devour, not enough to save Nukeduck's like Exile's in trouble. He's going to need the distortion soon. Flash has already been used. Distorts forward, can distort backwards by a few extra seconds, decides not to. He manages to escape. Xerxe, Samux, Hylissang, shut down Djoko, and Exileh is still alive. Death Sentence finds out Cabochard. The Unicorns have phenomenal team fights. Djoko is able to take down the tower thanks to the help of the Rift Herald, but it's Vizicsacsi killing, cleaning up, shutting down Vitality for the ace.
Vitality with the Rift Herald unable to make it work for them once again because Unicorns have a good defensive set of fights, and now what's Rift Herald to the bigger brother of Baron Nashor right now as Unicorns are going to be able to take it down. That was a clean ace. Vitality, I love that they threw whatever they could at the Unicorns to try and make that Rift Herald play work, but in the end, Unicorns team fighting way too strong, and again the Unicorns coming out significantly further ahead.
Just a really good mid-game from UOL. They understand their team comp, they understand their opponents, and here's this replay that started while we were in a replay.
Yeah, this was the engage that Unicorns managed to get back into at least a fighting stance against Vitality as they were looking for the top side. That chase and killing Chachi took so long that the Unicorns of Love were already back and ready to fight. That recall got back together, and Samux is able to just output so much damage here. Djoko unfortunately pushed back onto a trap there, able to take him down with ease, and then Chachi says, hey, I'm back. I TP'd in, I'm Galio, I'm unkillable. This is why you shouldn't have let me have him in the draft. You banned the Shen, didn't matter. Easy team fighting tank. Chachi making it look so, so good.
Yeah, the whole team just stepping up. 21.5 minute Baron buff. Unicorns have a 6,000 gold lead. And Steelback's Xayah just hasn't had a chance to scale. Only on a Zeal and Essence Reaver. Samux, on the other hand, about to finish his second Zeal to go along with the Hurricane and then Infinity Edge. And just, there's no threat. Samux is so safe in all of these fights.
And honestly, I feel like this is a position Vitality shouldn't have put themselves in. They should have taken the Galio, in my opinion, in the draft where they took Tahm Kench. It would have forced Chachi to give up a good matchup in favor of getting this Caitlyn in the bottom lane. And Vitality pick up the Tahm Kench, they allow the Galio through, and suddenly they're saying, oh, how do we kill Chachi? He's too much of a front line. Oh, Exileh and Samux, they've killed us because they have so much room. Not anymore. Exile's dead.
All right, we didn't quite see how that one set up. I don't know if Exile was trying to go for a play. I don't know. Regardless, Unicorns get the tower, and Steelback gets a kill onto Exile. Xerxe waddles himself away. Abyssal Voyage is going to at least deliver Cabochard. Samux, no flash available. Going to rely on that 90 caliber net. Even cheekily Gets himself an auto attack or stretching strike onto it. Now Kiss is what he yells. Xerxe waiting to wind up on the let's bounce. Vander forced to run for his life. Hilly comes over the wall with the flash. Where's the death sentence?
Let's bounce!
Let's bounce, baby! Samux gets another onto Nukeduck. Taunt up in the back end, and Vizicsacsi's not done yet. Xerxe sent packing by the explosive cask, and Unicorns do another.
And Exile's coming back again. TP into the exchange means that he's looking for the kill that started this entire thing off. Unicorns can just push the bottom tower through now, and then it's going to be the inhibitor. Again, this is the same thing as game number 1, where Vitality looked to have some sense of fight in the early game, and maybe against a different team, they'd be able to carry the lead through. But Unicorns' team fighting is immaculate today, and this has looked so good.
Indeed. Mirror games with Vitality doing a great job early on, but just this. 1, 2, now Kiss, and then Unicorns finished up.
The elastic slingshots here out of Xerxe. Gets one here, is able to at least get one target and zone back Djoko. Gets the let's bounce through. Okay, that looks okay. He's used his full combo, surely. Oh no! There's another elastic slingshot that's available. This is one of the reasons why Zach is so strong, is his impact in team fights is so difficult to shut out in the early game, that without putting more pressure on him than Vitality did at the beginning of this game, it's almost impossible to take full control of the game.
Yeah, I absolutely love the confidence that Unicorns are playing with. No fear, no regard, fully understanding all stages of the game. So much so that Vizicsacsi's got himself a Magi Soul Stealer on his top lane Galio, as if he wasn't obnoxious enough already.
Also, going for a completely different build to everybody else. Everybody else has been going Abyssal, into more tank, you get yourself a Stone Plate in there. No, Iceborne Gauntlet wants to be able to duel down. Unicorns are going to look for 2 kills.
Look at that, the Shockwave catches 2, but Exile gets the kill. Ace in the hole will shut down Cabochard, and Samux is dominating 6-0-4. Djoko tries some collateral damage, but the collateral is his teammates.
Yeah.
Actually, am I reading that right? Is that 6 or 16? I need to double check how many stacks that is. I can't see on the font.
I believe it's 6.
It is 6. It is 6.
Okay, he must have bought it recently. I didn't see when he actually picked it up.
Oh, just Unicorns. Great play.
Yeah, I mean, Vitality, this game looks out of reach for them at this point, because Unicorns of Love, they have team fought so cleanly with this composition that, again, is built for team fighting. And with the adjustments to tanks in the mid-season, so many of these picks actually benefit a team like the Unicorns, who are comfortable at fighting, comfortable at giving maybe early leads up, but coming back into the game when it suits them. And it's a very, very long summer split until Worlds, but if this is how the Unicorns are going to start it out, I'm excited to see how far they can go.
Indeed. Xerxe was channeling up the elastic slingshot, decided not to jump in. Exile's going to get out of range of the barrel roll, because in the middle lane, Unicorns are going to knock over this third inhibitor.
Vander just used his ult into the top lane and has to recoil out, because Vitality can't find any exchanges that can go their favor, and Unicorn's second inhib now is down. Third inhib, excuse me, the bot lane was already taken. Unicorns are going to look to close this with one more fight.
Yeah, they are. Stretching strike catches on Cabochard. He tries to flash away, was pulled backwards. Shockwave catches down onto Exile, and he's shut down by the collateral damage. It's Samux that cleans up Nukeduck on the back end. Now Vizicsacsi with those stacks on his Soul Stealer, looking at finishing up. There's 3 inhibitors down, and all for the style points now. Unicorns of Love already taking one of those Nexus turrets down. Let's see, Cabo, no ultimate to speak of. Xayah is doing the best to defend. Xerxe jumps in, let's bounce is available, goes flat, brings back Steelback, and Vander gets knocked up by the heroic entrance. Xerxe re-engages once more, gets yet another kill. Vander killed off by Hylissang. The super minions are pouring into the base stress, and Unicorns of Love, they're just looking fantastic to start open the summer split. It's not done yet. Another one for Vizicsacsi. 14 stacks on the Magi's, and Unicorns 2-0 Vitality.
The most prepared Unicorns, we said at the beginning of this series, and preparation paid off, because that was a very clean series against a revamped Vitality roster that did have some more bite at the beginning. I liked what they were bringing to the table, but it wasn't enough to face off against the Unicorns.
Just so you're aware, Ramar has stolen the head from the wall of our studio. It was hanging up in the coach's room, and he's liberated it for the cheer.
I feel like we have to give less props when the Unicorns are around. They're bringing their own. They got hats. They got like Furby unicorn things.
And I don't want to ham up the Vitality performance. They struggled in the mid game.
Yeah.
But their early game, their laning phase, their decision making was pretty good. It got them first blood, got them a couple of first objectives. It's the next steps where they've got to clean up their play. But unfortunately, against what is arguably the best team in Europe right now, because they've kept the same. They've been boot camping. They've been to Korea. In theory.
The best week one team. Yeah, that's a fair statement.
Sweeping statements. That's what I'm all about. I'm all about stress.
Still got to see 2 more teams, but I think you can call it that for now.
Very quickly, of course, we saw both Djoko and Steelback hugging a couple of the members of UOL. Vizicsacsi and Hylissang in particular. Yeah. As we mentioned, that storyline, the guys they played together on a team once upon a time. And now they got stomped by UOL, who just looked great.
Unicorns team fighting looks on point, and it's actually a really interesting prospect now. H2K look to be back on form themselves. That's a real nail biter. We've got Fnatic, they're on a good performance over in Group A. I think this could be one of the most competitive top of each groups we've seen here in Europe.
We hope so, right? Yeah. We hope so, and time will tell. I was speaking to Mithy a little bit earlier and said, what do you think of the squads? And Mithy's like, well, it depends on how well the teams adapt over the next 10 weeks.
It's for sure to say, though, that gone are the times when people would, tweet or whatever saying, oh, Unicorns, do we really want them representing our region? I want team fighting like that representing us, because Unicorns look very, very strong, consistent, solid as a unit. That must be terrifying around the house.
Oh, yes.
If Romain is like trying to scare you into practice certain things.
Yes, indeed. And well, no pressure on the Unicorns team now, as we mentioned many times today. Let's see how well they can continue to perform throughout the course of the split. That does it for us here on the cast today. So we're going to head over to Xerxe and the guys to take away the post-game lobby.